Check, check. Okay, looks good.
Okay, hi all. I think I can call this to order, and Sarah can call the roll. And
Sure. Calling the order. It's exactly 7:30 p.m. And Miss Bowman, she said she can't be here. Miss Boyd,
Here.
Elaine Buggs,
Present.
Violetta Serna Prado. She's not here. Miss Cresswell.
here.
Here. Jose Hernandez.
Present.
Okay. Troy Hillbrands.
Here.
Sarah Ma's here. Ellen Martinsek. She's not here yet. I thought she might come. There she is. I'll wait. I'll call her name again when she's connected to audio. Hi, Ellen. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Latrice said she couldn't come, but just I'll call her name. Latrice Arthur. No. Roberto Menjivar.
Present.
Dr. Powers.
Here.
And Rachel Zen. Do you think she's coming, Cassie, or she cannot come?
I think I'm not positive actually.
Okay, I'll just put, okay,
Yeah.
that she's not here right now. I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second it.
Okay, I'll do a roll call, abbreviated roll call. Boyd,
Here.
Bugs.
Present.
This is for approval of the agenda. So you can-
Oh,
that's okay.
sorry.
I'll just recall it. It's okay. I'm moving really fast.
That it
I-
was wrong. Yay.
Okay, Boyd.
Yeah.
Okay, Cresswell,
Yay.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hillbrands,
Yay.
Ma, yay, Martinsek,
Yeah.
Menjivar,
Yay.
Powers.
Yes.
Okay, Zen is not here. Okay.
Madam Secretary, Rachel is present. At
Rachel's-
least I see her square.
Oh, hi, Rachel. Would you like to, would you be in favor of approving the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10. Thank you. I'll hand it over to you, Cassie.
Great. Our first item is public participation. I think we have a couple of speakers signed up. And first is Patty. Do you want to go, Patty?
All right, I think I'm unmuted. I just kind of wanted to follow up on the my statements the other day, and I just had a couple quick questions about budget-wise, because I know that Dr. Powers is planning on some small indoor, maybe staggered graduation, and we're hoping that public health restrictions will loosen up so we can host a larger gathering outside somewhere. And so, let's say there are a group of parents and students who are eager to help in any way that we possibly can, but it would be helpful if we had some idea of what the budget actually is for graduation. And so we're just wondering, two questions. One, what is the overall graduation budget? And the second one is specifically, what is the budget for a venue? So that would just give us just a little bit more transparency about what options might be open to us should the health climate evolve in a way that we can have all the kids together at one graduation party or one graduation ceremony. That was it.
Thanks, Patty. Dr. Powers, do you have a comment on that?
Yes, we are planning a graduation ceremony in person at school, simultaneous and staggered on the 13th of June. If another opportunity, if the changes take place that we're able to expand upon that, we certainly will look into it. Our budget is based on how much the cost is for a typical graduation ceremony, plus the cost for caps and gowns and so forth. In the past, it's always been covered, not in the entire past, but and not including last year. But prior to last year, it was always covered by student graduation fees. So the total cost involved is in the mid to upper $20,000 range. The actual venue cost $15,000 to $16,000, depending on where it is. It's been at the auditorium theater almost every time, and I believe it was around $16,000. And again, all of the costs for graduation prior to last year were covered by graduation fees.
Thanks. I think that's probably the info that they were hoping for. Roberto, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm wondering, Dr. Powers, I think you mentioned, I think in an email that you've reached out to some of the senior leaders to discuss graduation. I'm trying to figure out whether you've extended that to some of the parents, or I know that your team, the leadership team, held this community engagement meeting yesterday to talk about the reopening. I'm wondering if that would be, if your team could create something similar for the parents whose children are graduating, so that they can have more information, and then they could provide also feedback and suggestions on how they can support the Jones School to have some semblance of a graduation. I know things are evolving. I know it's a pretty difficult time, but maybe perhaps engaging with some of the parents whose children are graduating or hosting some sort of meeting for them.
Sorry, was there a question there? I didn't quite follow your trend. Am I going to do something directly with parents?
No, that's my suggestion. There wasn't a question.
Yeah, I did meet with the senior class officers on Wednesday. I met with them twice to discuss graduation related events. And we'll keep people informed as things develop. Right now, we're still operating under the same limitations that we have had. And until we see a change in that, there's not much else we can do.
Okay, I think the next speaker signed up is Monica.
Yeah, hi. I was actually just here on the same issue as Patty, and thank you so much, Dr. Powers and your team, for your efforts to, I know it's a moving target with public health. We really appreciate your efforts to do something to support the seniors this year. I do apologize. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said historically it's been $16,000 for the venue plus additional costs. I just want to make sure I heard that right.
I don't have anything in front of me, but that's approximately correct. Maybe between 27 and 30,000, including venue. Our venue has been the auditorium theater all but one time over the past previous 12 years or 11 years without last year. And it's been in that general ballpark of 15 to 16 for the venue. That includes the security, it includes the ticketing aspects and so forth. The rest of the costs are the caps and gowns, the diploma covers, that type of thing. All of which again have been covered by student graduation fees, except for last year, which we covered the cost. And this year we may very well do the same thing rather than try and charge a graduation fee, given the unusual circumstances we're under.
Okay, thank you so much. That was all that I had. I know you have other items on your agenda. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. Okay, Dr. Plunkett signed up to speak, but I don't see her in the waiting room, so I don't think she's here for now. We can always ask at the end again. Okay, so the next item is approval of internal accounts expenditures over 2,500. And we have one linked there, and there was another one actually for, I think, 3,700 that you should have gotten in your email. And we will link it and put it in a, sorry about that.
I just put it in the chat.
Okay, great. Thanks. So we can, hopefully you guys got a chance to look at that one as well. It has to do with expenditures needed for setting up for testing on April 13th. So let's do the laptop first. So is there any questions or discussion before we make any motion on it?
I just was going to give the background that I think if you haven't received it already from Mr. Voigt, we approved an older check request that didn't include the RAM that they were looking for. So this is why it was 350-ish short. So this is the new request.
I move to approve.
You know, could we talk about them both and approve them in one motion? Or should we just do?
You should separate them.
We should separate them? Okay, I second.
So anyone have any particular comments they want to make on it before we go to a vote?
Yeah, just one thing, just to make sure that we keep things, we should cancel the first, the motion and approval that we made at the last meeting, and then move on to work on the approval on this item.
Yeah, so maybe we can withdraw the previous motion and make this motion to cancel the previous approval.
Okay, do you want me to, yeah. I make a motion to cancel. Do you want me to look up the exact amount? I'd have to go grab it really quick.
We say the previous laptop approval at meeting.
All right, I motion to cancel the previous laptop approval at the March 22nd meeting.
I second the motion.
Okay.
And so I think that one we can just call for a vote.
Yeah, I'll do a roll call for the cancellation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Boyd,
Yay.
Bugs,
Yes.
Cresswell,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hillbrands,
Yay.
Ma, yay, Martinsek,
Yay.
Menjivar,
Yay.
Powers,
Yes.
Zen.
Yay.
Okay, so that was 10 out of 10 to cancel.
So now I think we can reintroduce the motion to approve this laptop. If someone wants to make that motion.
Move to approve the purchased laptop at the amended amount.
I second.
So does anyone have any comments now on this? Jose, you're unmuted. Do you have something? Oh,
I'm sorry?
Just seeing who's unmuted, if there's someone had any comments.
No.
I just have one question.
Rachel?
If this, I guess I'm just wondering if this laptop is not going to be able to be at the school or be in use by mid-May at this point. Will there be a need for it in the fall? Because it seems to me this is kind of the need for the laptop is related to remote learning, if I'm not mistaken. Is that wrong? Or because I'm just kind of trying to think about it, is this like really high-tech laptop going to be needed in the fall, or is it just for this last period of remote learning?
I can speak.
I could address that.
Troy, go ahead, please.
So that's a great question. I think moving forward, they would like to have a powerful computer that they can then. I think they got a good sense of like how many people were watching them on YouTube. So going forward, I think they would like to do more of the concerts in person and online. And a way to do that is through this computer. There's been a lot of talk about doing um, broadcasts for student programs like the musical, the play, orchestra, band, and I think this computer could help, especially with the orchestra, to achieve those goals. So yes, it will be used in coming years. So I have no doubt that it will.
So is this for all of the performing arts department then, actually?
Just the orchestra. I'm just saying that in general, there's been a push for the performing arts to do more things online. And orchestra has seen a big boost in their online performances and viewership. So I think she would like to continue that with this computer.
Roberto, do you have your hand up?
I do. I have two questions regarding the laptop. So just to follow up on Rachel's comment, where is the laptop going to be housed for the next several school years? Is it going to be part of the? I understand now it's going to be used by the orchestra teacher, and she's going to have it at home and to do editing and things like that. But for next school year or the next several school years, is the laptop going to be at the school? Is it going to be part of the digital art room? Is it going to be part of the library room? So I just need clarification on that. And then my second question is, there was a purchase right earlier this year or early of this 2021 school year for a new laptop. What's going to happen to that laptop? Because that's my understanding that the Jones School community or the Jones School purchased a laptop earlier this year. It didn't work as well. And so I want to know where is that laptop? And my understanding is that there might be a trade-in value. Is Jones considering trading that in to recover some of the funds? Or is Jones considering in circulating that older laptop into the remote learning once the students come back?
Well, everything is used. So anything over, I think it's a $500 dollar amount, gets tagged and is considered a CPS asset. So it will be housed within the band area, or sorry, the orchestra area. And right now that is in the North Auditorium with Ms. Bassa. And as far as the second laptop, I'm not exactly sure what will happen to it. And then trying to get a refund or like money back for that laptop that was purchased earlier in the year. I just, based on CPS and our partnership with CDW, I doubt that we would be able to do that. I'd have to default to Ms. Troche for more clarification on that.
I could add also to that anytime we purchase any kind of technology, it really is part of the school's pool of technology. It doesn't actually belong necessarily to any department. But in this case, for example, if it no longer is needed in performing arts, there's always going to be use for something like this elsewhere in the school. So nothing goes to waste.
Thank you so much.
Oops, Roberta, do you have a second question as well? Or you're done? Sarah, do you have a question?
No, that answered my question.
Ellen?
Yeah, I believe from Ms. Troche that we are not able to trade back laptops, so it would be like distributed to another teacher who is in need of a laptop with the type of functionality that original Mac has. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think there's conversations happening in the YouTube chat that we cannot necessarily see, so I was asked to share.
Oh, my apologies. I was not checking the YouTube chat, but yes, Ms. Troche is saying cannot trade laptops back. It will be distributed to another teacher, used for virtual concerts. So sorry, Ms. Troche. Won't happen again.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Second, thank you, Ms. Troche. And thank you so much, Dr. Powers and Mr. Hilbrands for that.
So I just have a general comment on it. No, I voted yes on Monday on this same item. I feel like the additional information we got this week that there are IMACs available in the digital imaging lab. We kind of know at least the ceiling on the school capacity for the rest of fourth quarter. And so it seems like there is something that Ms. Bassa can use for the rest of the year. And I still would really like an overall idea of the tech plan for the school before we make tech purchases. I feel like this is really a big purchase, given that it's the equivalent of like 11 Chromebooks, and knowing additionally tonight that the other performing arts departments may need this as well. So I think that has me feel like we don't really need to make an emergency purchase for this, since Ms. Bassa will have something for the rest of the school year, and we can revisit it in the summer as an overall picture of what the digital needs are for the performing arts departments. So just wanted to offer that as my comment on this. I don't know if anyone has any other further comments.
The iMac computers are designated for use of the digital media labs, and to remove one from there, repurpose it for another use, of course, theoretically could be done, but isn't necessary in this particular situation, particularly because the ongoing needs are going to be for that computer to be back in the iMac lab, whether it's being fully used right now or not, or those computers. And any new purchase will go on and be used with the performing arts department, specifically orchestra. So I see no need to switch out at this point, simply because we'll probably be buying the same computer down the road at some point.
Sarah, do you have another comment?
I was trying to pull up the other quote, and maybe Ms. Troche can answer this. She's saying we can loan an iMac to Ms. Bassa for the time being, so that she can work on her, I believe, stuff for over spring break, because she had a project to do. And she says she's currently rewriting a tech plan due to the pandemic, because everything has changed. I'm reaching out to Ms. Troche. I'd love to support you in that work, so you're not alone. And then I could be the conduit to the LSC. And then I was trying to pull up the Troy, do you know anything about like Apple Care and CPS? Do they have it as part of their contract?
I think it depends on the device. Our vendor is CDWG, which is the government version of CDW. So going through them is a little bit different. I'm not exactly sure as far as the Apple Care, but whenever we've had an issue with one, it didn't seem like it took very long for it to get repaired. But
it does have Apple Care. I found it in the quote. I'm sorry. I found it. It's $103. So thank you. Ms. Troche also said in the chat that obviously an iMac can't go back and forth, but that she could use it for break. I hope I'm explaining that how she wants me to.
And Roberta, do you have one more comment?
I do, just to follow up on what your comment, Cassie. So I guess my concern is after our last special meeting, we had Mr. Gunnick, who was talking about this, the one-to-one, right, Chromebooks. And it seems like they've been asking for a one-to-one Chromebook. And I've reviewed this letter that several teachers, right, over 10 teachers have signed on to this letter to talk about like the one-to-one and the untenable situation that they're in. And I understand that CPS is in the process of providing Chromebooks, but we've sort of had this idea that the school was going to reopen at some point, and I'm trying to figure out like how are we addressing the one-to-one situation now, right? If there's a backlog where we're waiting 45 days for a computer, And then we're waiting, trying to figure out what CPS is going to provide. CPS may provide 10 Chromebooks. They may provide 100 Chromebooks, but I think we need to try to figure out a way to address the teachers' needs for reopening and supporting the students. And just like what we were talking about, this MacBook, this iBook, or whatever, this MacBook Pro that's over $3,000, and that there will be future uses. I could see future uses for the Chromebooks, the one-to-one Chromebook. So I think that's something that we, as the LSC, should really strongly recommend. And I think that the Dr. Powers, I think we need to address this. Like, the leadership team needs to address it now, so that we can support the teachers in their request for this one-to-one. If we're providing one teacher a $3,000 MacBook Pro that obviously has value and benefit to the school community, then imagine if we can provide the one-to-one computers and how much better the school community would be. So that's just my concern at this point.
Our one-to-one plan is part of the plan that's evolving now for tech for the school. Again, given the circumstances, we could move ahead and order hundreds of Chromebooks, but if CPS is going to provide hundreds of Chromebooks, we would wait 45 days or more. The school district would not. They would be able to deliver. We don't know exactly what that's going to be and what it's going to look like, but we do know that it's coming. So we have that plan in process now for the spring and then for the ongoing future.
Rachel, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I appreciate Roberta's comment. And the way I guess I'm seeing it is it doesn't have to be an either or conversation all the time. And I really appreciate being able to talk through this sort of purchase, and put it in the context of the one-to-one conversation. But I do think, I mean, thank you, Mr. Hilbrands, for the clarification that you gave me, because just knowing that it'll be used in some capacity and it'll allow for a new form of streaming performances and all these things, then I do understand that it's not just one teacher getting the device. It's going to be for several students and their families too, potentially. But I just wanted to say I appreciate, Roberto, you kind of bringing in the letter from our last meeting on Monday as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Ellen, go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, Rachel said part of what I was going to say, which is that I don't think this is an either or. I absolutely 100% want to become a one-to-one school. I think particularly in remote and hybrid learning settings, like, that's necessary, right? As a teacher, I can't visualize my classroom without students with devices. So I'm really encouraged that we're making a plan. I understand that, like, we don't have all the pieces to that plan right now because CPS, per usual, is dragging their feet, but I appreciate that we are making a plan in that direction. And the way that our budget is currently structured is that it's separate, right? Like, this is the orchestra budget line, right? Which may or may not have been used for Chromebooks instead of this MacBook, but like, that's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like a zero sum on that, I think, because the plan involving one-to-one is rather separate from the orchestra purchase itself. So I just kind of wanted to mention that again. Rachel, I think, said it better than I did just now. So I consider them to be somewhat separate things. And I'd also like to ask the LSC to consider, if we had this quote on Monday, what would your vote have been? Because is the question really about a change? It wasn't fully up to date at that time, right? Like, it was not the RAM that is needed for the tasks that are going to be performed. So I just wanted to put that thought out there as well, because as I'm considering my vote, that's how I'm thinking, if I had seen this quote on Monday, then I would have voted the same way. So just putting that out there.
Miss Troche is here, so we can have her in real time. And Miss Troche, in the YouTube chat, you said that it wasn't CPS that's 45 days, it's schools. Can you just expound on that a little bit?
Sure. I contacted CDW because you guys were asking about the amount of time. I believe Ms. Cresswell was asking, but it might have been you, Sarah. I'm not sure. Was asking about the amount of time that it takes to get these devices. So I contacted CDW and they got back to me this morning. And I said, can you explain the delays? And he said, well, aside from everybody trying to purchase computers, of course, he said, but the other problem is there are other factors that are taken into consideration. He was very careful in how he worded it, but apparently some orders supersede school orders. So that tells me that CPS's orders supersede our orders. I do know that CPS is giving us devices for our students. They have passed out some to our teachers, but they're sitting in school, some of them, some have picked them up, that had old devices assigned to them in our inventory. I can give you a TechCo rumor, but that's a rumor, so I really would rather not share that since I don't know that to be a truth. This tech plan that I'm working on, I'm hoping is going to fund devices in the future for us to be one-to-one, both staff and students. Staff will not be Chromebooks though, because that won't work. It's too hard to make that work. But I'm here for any questions that you guys want to ask me. I don't want to give you guys everything because I'm still collecting some of the information on the tech plan. I'm trying to get in touch with all of the tech codes from selective enrollment schools, and at least one doesn't seem to have a tech code right now. So I'm trying to gather information from them because I'd like to see how they're making it work or what their plans are for the future in order to make all of this work. I don't want us going into this blindly, but I want to know where we have problems before they start.
Ellen? Oh, is that a fake hand? It's okay. Anyone else with real hands up, though not visible? Thank you for coming to answer more questions, Ms. Troche. Yeah, this is a hard vote because I do want overall, I think we need to, as a healthy LSC, we need to really be able to have context for our votes, and that's the important thing.
Okay, I'm going to try to sway you just on this one, but let me explain why. At the beginning of the school year, well, probably over the summer, we were asking the teachers what devices they needed. And some of our teachers got back to us, and there were, and forgive me, I don't have the numbers in front of me. There were 8 or 9 teachers that felt they needed MacBooks. So we purchased them. Miss Bossa was one of them. A couple of our teachers said that they really needed an iPad, and we purchased those. Some of our teachers said that they needed a laptop, so we purchased the Dells because that was what was available to us. Then after that, CPS went through and said these people, when people left the building in March, I don't know that everybody realized how panicked some people got. Everybody thought we were going to be gone for 2 weeks. So they kind of looked around, grabbed what they could that they thought might be useful. And I understand that because you're thinking you're going to be gone for 2 weeks. What's the big deal? So you grab what you think you're going to need. I had one teacher who came back the other day to pick up his laptop and he goes, "Why did I take a document camera with me?" I said, "I don't know." But so needless to say, I believe, I believe our count is at least 40 some teachers have gotten a device just this year between ourselves and CPS. Not all of the ones that CPS provided have been picked up yet. People are planning on picking some of them up next week during spring break. And some of them probably won't pick them up until they're returning to school. And I don't blame them. I've been in the building for a long time. I've contracted COVID while we were there. So I understand the teachers' fears in not wanting to come in the building and get things, even though they know they need them. I'm assuming that they will pick them up because some of them were very excited that the devices are there for them. But I want to accommodate the teachers that didn't get a device, that didn't go running out grabbing anything either. Because when CPS said that they were sending devices to the teachers who grabbed something old, I looked and said, what about the teachers who just left the building and didn't take anything with them? That's not really fair to them either. So I I think I think I see the teacher's perspective. I think I see our students' perspective. I would like everything to be equitable amongst all of them. So that's the reason that I'm rewriting this tech plan, because I want to make sure that everybody gets exactly what they need. Unfortunately, there are some people that need something that's just a little bit better. Mr. Hilbrands knows this. A few years ago, he was having some problems because all of a sudden he was working on these graphic intense programs, and the computers that CPS was allowing us to purchase were so low end that every time he did something, he got a blue screen of death. His computer crashed. He just kept coming to me and he was like, I can't take this anymore. CPS didn't have a policy at that time for us to purchase anything that could handle the graphics that Troy needed. So every year I was writing to the vendors, can we do something? Can we do a special build for this one person? I'm not asking for a school full of them. I want one. And the one vendor finally said, Joanne, give us about 2 weeks and we can do a special build for you. And that's how we were able to get Troy a computer. Apple, up until this year, this very computer, as a matter of fact, has never allowed us to do a special build. This is our first Apple special build. So I'm excited that CPS is finally looking at what some of our needs are and allowing us to make those purchases. And of course, with CPS, you just don't know when a vendor is going to, or when CPS is no longer going to allow a vendor to do those things. So to be honest with you, I normally like to save money as much as I can. I've seen Ms. Boss's struggle and I understand it. And I understand why you would have apprehensions about spending that amount of money on a computer. But to be honest with you, in my personal life, I have spent that amount on a computer, and that was not recently. I spent that probably 10 years ago on a special build that I did. But when you need it, that's what you need. That's all there is. And the prices, as much as everybody wants to say computer prices are going down, they're not. Not if you want them to keep up with some of the new technologies that are out. So if that swayed you, fine. If it didn't, then that's fine too. We'll make do.
Cassie's in mute land. Roberto, is that a hand?
It is a hand.
Okay. Okay. Go
Ms. Trost, thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate you walking at least me through your thought process and what has been done historically and the situation that the school's in and your situation, and looking forward. So I think that it sounds like you mentioned equitable, right? I just want to make sure that all of the departments have an opportunity to request devices that will support them, because ultimately it turns around and supports the students, right? Every student in the building. So I just want to make sure that that's what's happening here. And I completely understand that certain departments will have higher quality or more powerful computers, like the digital art department, like orchestra in this situation. So I really do appreciate you being very thoughtful and candid with us in the situation here. And I just want to make sure that I want to get some reassurances that Ms. Trost, that you're working with Dr. Powers and the leadership team to come up with a real systematic plan to make Jones a one-to-one school and provide and support the needs of all of our teachers and students.
Oops. Thanks, Roberto. Joanne, do you have a additional comment on that?
I just want to say, I've been at Jones for 13 years, Dr. Powers, I think. I've been at Jones for 13 years. I love Jones. I was in an elementary school for 13 years before this. I want to do what's fair and what's right for everybody, and I know that everyone's needs are different. I think we're going to be finding some different needs in computer science very soon based on some things they've told me. And the different machines that they're going to need. So I do work with our administration all the time. Dr. Powers probably gets sick of my texts and emails and stuff like that. But that's fine. I want to work with everybody, and I want to do what we need to do for our kids. Our kids deserve it, and the other reason I'm going to tell some of you, one of the other reasons that I like one-to-one, just so you know, with our kids, I grew up a poor kid. I would have been one of those kids who didn't have a device to use at home if we were in this pandemic. And my mom had 8 kids and she was a single mom raising us. There's no way we could have done school for the 8 of us, because there's 8 of us in an 11-year span. This couldn't have happened. I'm afraid that students may look at the kids who have our current devices even right now and say, well, you must be one of the poor kids because your parents didn't get you a device. And I think it's important for things to look equal even amongst the kids, because I know what bullies they can be. So that's one of the other reasons that I think one-to-one is a good idea, because no kid is walking around saying, well, I've got something better than yours. If that makes any sense. I'm done. I hate talking, so.
No, thank you for answering all our questions. And do we have any other further discussions before we go to a vote? Okay, I think, Sarah, you can call the roll for this vote for the motion of purchasing this laptop.
Yes.
CASA.
Yes, let me go to the roll call. Boyd,
Yay.
Bugs,
Yes.
Cresswell,
Yes.
Hernandez. I'll come back. Ma, yay. Martinsek,
Yay.
Menjivar,
Yay.
Powers,
Yes.
Zen,
Yay.
Hernandez? Okay, so we have no
Yes,
Hernandez.
yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we have 10 of 10 for the laptop.
I think you forgot me, but I'm a yay.
Oh my gosh.
I
Hillbrands.
know I'm forgettable, but
I think you were counted though. Like the math worked out that you
No, I'm sorry. I'm so tired, you guys. Okay. Dr. Powers is sick. He's tired. Okay. I'm going to send the woman in the waiting room the YouTube link. And please go on.
Okay, the next item is it's basically additional rental tables that are needed for testing, and this regular vendor is not available. And I think, does anyone have any basic questions that need to be answered about that? I think Mr. Voigt had a fair amount of detail that we can put in the minutes on explaining why we need these. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks. I guess I'm annoyed that CPS let all their vendors expire and that they didn't put in some special, it's a pandemic. We're going to give everyone an extra year before we cancel their contracts because, they have to be renewed annually. And if no one was doing any business with them, is that what happened, Dr. Powers, that they?
To some extent, yeah, the whole vendor approval process for CPS is complex and even Byzantine in nature. And there's also cost that's involved for the vendor to participate in that, in terms of the documentation is required, the liability insurance requirements, things like that. And there were very few companies that did table rentals. And quite frankly, I think some of them have shut down during the pandemic because nobody's renting tables for large events.
Sure.
So we had relied for years on Big Tent Events, which is sometimes called Fun Time. I think one's a parent company, the other, I don't recall the exact arrangement. and they've always been able to provide us with tables for testing purposes. But at present, CPS does not have any vendors that rent tables. They're urging us to purchase tables. That's fine. We could do that. Where we're going to put them, I don't know. That's the problem. We're talking about large, bulky tables. So what we're looking at here are these tablet desks, the kind that fold up and so forth, and they are suitable for standardized testing. And we're getting just enough that we can supplement. We are also limited, for example, in the number of people we can have in any one space for testing due to COVID. So normally we would have gotten 110 tables for the gym and tested over 200 students. This way we can only do 50 in any one location. So we're looking at doing that for the gym, 50 there, and 50 for the cafeteria, because nobody else will be in the building. And then the rest is classrooms. So we're getting 80 because that will basically cover what our needs are for the gym. And we have some supplemental tables and chairs we can use for the cafeteria as well. And then we have those, and they're probably more storable than purchasing all the 8-foot tables we might possibly need.
Okay, thank you. That was helpful.
Oh, and by the way, the rental cost is something like $2,500 every year, and that's multiple times. In other words, we do it in the fall for PSAT under normal circumstances. Fall for PSAT, spring for SAT, and even PSAT for students, and for freshmen and sophomores, and also AP. So we rent tables frequently for major testing, several times a year.
Thanks. Any other questions on this? Go ahead, Ellen.
This is not really a
Or
question.
comments. Comments are fine now.
The question is not really about the purchase itself, but Dr. Powers, as an AP teacher, I was like listening very intently. I know for testing dates, like for the SAT, there's going to be nobody else in the building. I think Mr. Mitchell had mentioned that he's hoping to do the same for CPS, but as of yesterday, or like for the APs, I'm sorry, he's talked to CPS about that. I know as of yesterday, there was no update on that. Just wanted to ask if there was an update. Totally fair. I realized that was a stretch, but thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Ideally, we would be able to have remote learning for everybody else, so we can handle the very complex schedule of AP testing, including some very large numbers of kids for some of the test areas. But at this point, we don't have any clearance for that. And again, we'll be using these tablet desks, excuse me, for some of the AP testing as well.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, I will entertain a motion on this.
So move.
I second.
And you want to call the roll, Sarah?
I do. I won't forget people this time. Boyd.
Yay.
Bugs.
Yes.
Cresswell.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Hilbrands.
Yes.
Ma, yay. Martinsek.
Yes.
Menjivar.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Zen.
Yes.
Okay, that was 10 out of 10. We are going to all come, as soon as we all are vaccinated, come and use those desks.
I think they're right. So it may not be available.
I'm going crazy. I'm getting loopy.
Okay, I think we have a second presentation. We don't have anyone signed up for that. So I think seeing no other business, I will adjourn this meeting.
Have a good spring break. Hope you feel better, Dr. Powers.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.